2001 Seattle Mariners. The 2001 Seattle Mariners are undeniably one of the most dominant teams MLB has ever seen. They ended the regular season with 116 wins, tied for the most in MLB history, and with their roster of stars managed to earn the most WAR by a team in a single season in MLB history at 50.4. The roster was stacked, with prime Ichiro winning Rookie of the Year in the AL MVP while batting .350 with 242 hits. Brett Boone put up the best season of his career, hitting with a .331 average and .950 OPS with 37 home runs. And pitcher Freddie Garcia was leading the AL with his .305 ERA with an 18-6 record on the season. The expectations were high for this team in the postseason, and a lot of people saw them as World Series favorites. The Mariners won the ALDS against the Cleveland Indians 3-2, but it wasn't pretty. They were down 2-1 after 3 games after a brutal 17-2 loss, but they managed to claw back and win the last 2 games to secure a spot in the ALCS versus the Yankees. The Mariners then fell apart. Ichiro struggled, batting just .222 in the ALCS with 4 hits, and outside of Freddie Garcia and Jamie Moyer, the bullpen struggled, giving up 42 hits in 5 games against the Yankees, who are now on track to win their 4th consecutive World Series. Seattle lost the series 4-1, and it was arguably the best chance the Mariners would have to win a title, as they wouldn't reach the postseason for another 21 years. 1995 Cleveland Indians. The 1995 Cleveland Indians had an absolutely stacked roster. Albert Bell had one of the best seasons of his career, leading the league in runs scored and RBIs at 121 and 126 respectively, while also leading all of MLB in doubles at 52 and home runs at 50, becoming the first major leaguer to hit 50 home runs and 50 doubles in a season. There were multiple offensive powerhouses on the team, including Jim Thome, who was batting .314 with a .996 OPS, Manny Ramirez, who was batting .308 with 31 home runs, and Kenny Lofton, who was batting .310 and leading the league with his 54 stolen bases. Jose Mesa was a star closer, with 46 saves on the season and a minuscule 1.16 ERA in 64 innings pitched, giving up just 8 earned runs in the 62 games he pitched in, and he finished second in Cy Young voting behind just Randy Johnson. This roster dominated the regular season, going 144, finishing an absurd 30 games ahead of the second place Kansas City Royals in their division. By all accounts, this team was the favorite to win the World Series. The Indians swept the Red Sox in the ALDS 3-0 and beat out the Mariners in the ALCS, winning the series 4-2 and outscoring them 23-12, bringing them to a World Series against the Atlanta Braves. The Indians led the regular season in nearly every offensive metric, but in the World Series, they got cold. Atlanta's pitching staff that included Greg Maddux, who pitched 16 innings with a .225 ERA, and Tom Glavine, who pitched 14 innings with a .129 ERA, stifled the Indians' offense. Bell, Ramirez, and Thome were all batting over .300 in the regular season, yet the best of the 3 in the World Series was Bell's .235 average with just 4 hits. The series was still incredibly close, with 3 of Cleveland's 4 losses being just a 1-run differential, but Atlanta would take the World Series championship 4-2. If you enjoy these baseball explainer videos, consider leaving a like and subscribing, that way you never miss an upload. 2019 Houston Astros. The 2019 Houston Astros roster is not just arguably the best in franchise history, but one of the best in MLB history. They went 107-55 in the regular season, setting their franchise record for wins in a season, while also being the 3rd consecutive season that they managed over 100 wins. The team had stars everywhere. Yordan Alvarez was hitting .313 with a .1067 OPS, slugging 27 homers and winning the AL Rookie of the Year. Alex Bregman had the best season of his career, putting up an MLB leading 8.9 WAR with a .296, .423, and .592 slash line and 41 home runs, and Yuli Gurriel and Jose Altuve slugged 31 homers each. The Astros' .274 team batting average was 21 points above the league average of .253. The pitching rotation was arguably even more dominant, with Justin Verlander dominating all of MLB with his 21-6 record with a .258 ERA, winning the AL Cy Young Award, and Garrett Cole was right behind him with a 20-5 record and an AL leading .250 ERA that helped him finish second in Cy Young voting. But in the postseason, the Astros fell just short of greatness. They beat the Rays 3-2 in the ALDS and beat the Yankees 4-2 in the ALCS with Altuve's series-winning walk-off home run, securing their spot in the World Series. Houston's relief pitching in the World Series fell apart, posting a .573 ERA between them in 22 innings, nearly 2 runs higher than their regular season ERA of 3.75. In Game 7, Zack Greinke had brought the Astros to a 2-0 lead into the 7th inning, but he was pulled after allowing a home run from Anthony Rendon. Greinke had only thrown 80 pitches, and A.J. Hinch's decision to replace him with Will Harris was a questionable one. Harris gave up a 2-run homer that gave the Nationals the lead in that same inning. The Nationals would win the game 6-2, beating out the Astros in the World Series 4-3, leaving many fans to wonder how one of the best Astros teams in franchise history had fallen just short. 1994 Montreal Expos. The 1994 Montreal Expos didn't have the same fate as the other dominant teams who failed to live up to the hype in the postseason, but it's because they didn't even get the chance to. At 74-40, they had MLB's best record and were on pace for 106 wins when the 1994 players' strike began August 12th. The Expos led the Braves by 6 games, despite Atlanta spending twice as much on payroll. Montreal's dominance was undeniable, as they led MLB with a 3.56 team ERA, 46 saves, and issued just 288 walks. Offensively, Larry Walker was hitting .322 with 86 RBIs, and Moises Alou was batting .339 with a .989 OPS. In the pitching rotation, Pedro Martinez had an 8.8 strikeouts per 9 rate, the 4th highest in the NL, and Ken Hill was leading the NL with his 16 wins with just 5 losses. From June 1st forward, they went 46-18, the best stretch in franchise history. Attendance averaged 24,543 people per game, and if the pace kept up, they could have hit 2 million fans in attendance for the season, their highest since 1983. The Expos seemed truly destined for the World Series, but the strike took the opportunity from a franchise that had been struggling. It was the most successful season in franchise history, and it will remain as one of MLB's greatest what-if stories. The Expos were never able to recover from the 1994 season, as they lost key players in Marquise Grissom and Ken Hill after 1994 and Larry Walker after the 1995 season. The Expos relocated to Washington, D.C. and became the Nationals in 2005, leaving the Expos forever without a World Series title. 1906 Chicago Cubs. The 1906 Chicago Cubs set the single-season win record of 116 that would go untouched until the 2001 Seattle Mariners matched it, and just like the Mariners, they fell short of expectations. The Cubs dominated in nearly every metric. They had the most runs scored at 704 while allowing the least runs in the league at 381. They had the best team ERA in the league at 175, nearly 50 points ahead of the second lowest, the Pirates, who had a 221 team ERA, and they led the NL with a team batting average of 262. Mordecai Brown led the pitching rotation, posting a 26-6 record and an insane 104 ERA. The offense had Frank Chance hitting 319 and leading MLB in runs scored at 103 and stolen bases at 57. Harry Steinfeld put up incredible offensive numbers as well, with a 327 batting average and an NL leading 83 RBIs and 176 hits. They won the NL pennant with a 20-game lead over the second-place New York Giants. However, they faced crosstown rival Chicago White Sox in the World Series. The White Sox had a team-wide batting average of just 230 that season, and the Cubs were easy favorites. In one of baseball's greatest upsets, the Sox defeated the heavily favored Cubs 4-2, as the Cubs hit just 196 in the series, and their pitching staff allowed 22 runs over 6 games. The Cubs would win the next 2 World Series, but have never been able to match their 1906 dominance. 2004 St. Louis Cardinals. The 2004 Cardinals assembled one of the most complete teams in franchise history, only to be swept when it mattered most. Their 105-57 record was the best in baseball, winning the NL Central by 13 games. The offensive juggernaut featured the MV3, Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, and Jim Edmonds, who finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th in MVP voting. Pujols hit .331 with 46 homers and 123 RBIs, while Edmonds put up an elite Gold Glove defense along with a .301 average and 42 home runs. They led the NL in runs scored at 855 and fewest allowed at 659. The pitching staff featured 4 starters with 15+ wins and Jason Isringhausen's league-leading 47 saves. After acquiring Larry Walker in August, they went on multiple winning streaks of 5+ games, including 9 consecutive wins from August 27th to September 5th. St. Louis won the NLDS versus the LA Dodgers 3-1. Outscoring them 22-11, and they took down the Astros in the NLCS 4-3. However, they faced a Red Sox team riding unprecedented momentum after becoming the first team to overcome a 3-0 deficit in the ALCS. The Cardinals managed just a 190 batting average in the World Series, with their MV3 trio combining for 6 for 45. The only exception to the abysmal hitting was Larry Walker, who put up a 357 average and 1366 OPS with 2 home runs and 5 hits in his 14 at-bats. Despite being heavy favorites, they were swept 4-0, becoming the team with the best regular season record to be swept in World Series history, while also being the team that ended Boston's curse of the Bambino. 2011 Detroit Tigers. The 2011 Detroit Tigers were one of the most dominant teams in baseball for a few reasons. They went 95-67 in the regular season, securing first in the AL Central 15 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians. They had a top 3 offense in all of the AL, with superstar Miguel Cabrera leading the way. Miggy dominated in 2011, hitting an MLB leading .344 average with an MLB leading .448 on base percentage, and the most doubles in MLB at 48, and he had the second highest OPS in the league at 1033, behind just Jose Bautista. Alex Avila had the best season of his career, batting .295 with a 142 OPS plus and his career best 19 home runs. But what really made them special was the amount of talent in the pitching rotation. Justin Verlander led the way in 2011 with an MLB leading 24 wins and 250 strikeouts and an NL leading .240 ERA, earning him his first Cy Young award. But right behind him was Max Scherzer, who put up 15 wins and 174 strikeouts on the season. Jose Valverde was their star closer with a .224 ERA with an MLB high 49 saves in 72 innings pitched. And the thing is, this core remained unchanged, and the Tigers dominated through 2014, yet still never found the World Series title they were chasing. In 2011, they fell to the Rangers in the ALCS 4-2. In 2012, they made it to the World Series but were swept 4-0 by the San Francisco Giants, and in 2013, they fell short of making it to the World Series again, losing in the ALCS to the Red Sox. After 2014, they lost Scherzer, and the rest of the core that helped them dominate in previous years were plagued by injuries, including Verlander and Cabrera, and the Tigers wouldn't make it to the postseason again until 2024, leaving many to wonder if the Tigers had missed out on their best opportunities for a championship title. 1954 Cleveland Indians. The 1954 Cleveland Indians posted the all-time winning percentage in the American League at .721, with an incredible 111-43 record, only to suffer one of the greatest World Series upsets in MLB history. Their 111-43 record set an AL high that stood for 44 years, achieved with a generational pitching staff. Early Wynn and Bob Lemon tied for the MLB high of 23 wins, and led a rotation that posted a collective .278 ERA, with Mike Garcia's 19 wins and AL best .264 ERA contributing to 77 complete games. The offense was just as solid, leading the AL with 156 home runs and finishing second in runs scored. Larry Doby hit .272, leading the AL with his 32 homers, and Bobby Avila's .341 batting average led the AL. They finished 8 games ahead of the Yankees, who won 103 games themselves. However, facing the 97-57 Giants in the World Series, everything fell apart. Willie Mays made his legendary play, the catch, the over-the-shoulder catch of Vic Wertz's 460-foot drive in Game 1, and it seemed like the turning point for the Indians. Pinch hitter Dusty Rhodes dominated Cleveland, hitting 2 home runs and driving in 7 runs in just 6 at-bats, and Al Dark batted with a .412 average in the series with 7 hits in his 17 at-bats. Meanwhile, the Indians managed just a .190 team batting average. The 4-game sweep marked the first time Cleveland had ever been swept in a World Series, ending their championship dreams despite showcasing complete dominance throughout the regular season.